Welcome to Daytona International Speedway, coverage of the 2015 SCCA National Championship Runoffs, presented by Garmin Verb. I'm Rick Benjamin. Dorsey Schrader is alongside Hayward Wagner with our coverage on pit road on this beautiful Saturday, day 2 of these National Championship Runoffs, the 52nd annual renewal of this. First time for these SCCA Runoffs to be held at Daytona since 1969, when, Mr. Schrader, you were a mere pup.
I was, and I was here, too. It looks a lot different now than it did back then.
Open wheel cars next up on the menu for us today. Formula 1000, also known as Formula B in the official nomenclature, and we've got 20 of these cars and drivers set to do battle. Hayward Wagner, open wheel cars at Daytona, pretty cool stuff.
This is going to be a fun one, guys. Open wheels, wings, flat bottoms, and bike motors. You guys have noticed a lot of cars going out on hardship laps as we're doing our interviews here on pit road at the end of the race. Almost all of the Formula 1000 field has been on a hardship lap at some time over the last day and a half. So these are cars that they're doing a lot of tuning on. We may see some people that have found some things since we finished qualifying on Thursday.
Look forward to seeing how that works. Dorsey, you and I were talking about these race cars, and we've seen them many times over the years. Motorcycle motors, 1-liter motors.
Yeah, 1,000 cc's, 1,000 pounds. That's with the driver in it. So you assume if the driver weighs 180, they got to get these cars down into the 800-pound category. It's pretty hard to do, as most of them are converted from either Formula Atlantic old cars or Formula Super Bs or even Formula Ford chassis. To get a car down to 800 pounds is very hard to do. The motorcycle engines, well, they're race engines. They're full-on race engines. Usually Suzuki's is the most popular brand. They can put out over 200 horsepower. They're a bit brittle, and this is going to be like a dyno run for them. They're going to be flat out around here just like their motorcycle brethren.
Yeah.
They're fast.
A lot of RPMs, and you've got to be careful not to over-rev here, no question about it. Let's take you around Daytona International Speedway. Our Garmin Verb Fast Lap will ride with third fastest qualifier Alex Mayer from Harleyville, Pennsylvania. Runs out of the Philadelphia region in the 77 car, the Techno Connects JDR race cars, and here he comes down through the trial.
This is built by an old buddy of mine, Jerry Hodges, as he goes down into turn 1. Very high-speed cars here. This car is built to be aerodynamically clean, very slippery. Look as he locks that right front tire, just feathers it through the corner there. That's turn 1, turn 2. Now you come through the bending S's, headed for the infield. International Horseshoe, slowest corner on the track. Very slippery. You lose all your downforce here. All your ground effects goes away. So right off this corner, and you run through the fastest corner in the infield called the Kink. Probably the hardest corner on this entire racetrack, because it really is all you can do to get this done right and flat out through this corner. Hard braking then for a right-hander. Falls off camber pretty significantly. I like that right front tire just stopping rotation a little bit there.
Yeah.
That's one of the neat things about open-wheel cars. You can see that from inside the car while you're driving it. This corner real important as it comes out of here and back up onto the banking. Your exit speed here, especially in a car like this, it's light, not a lot of horsepower. You really need to carry speed off that corner and bring it onto this banking. Everybody's flat out by this time, going through third, fourth, and fifth gear. And then you're going to run down into the bus stop, which is one of the best passing places. Really hard brake zone from top gear down to third. And it's really much faster than it looks like it is. You're over 100 miles an hour in through that bus stop. Kind of a flick into the left and back to the right, straighten the car up, and then back to the right again, and then back to the left, and slam up onto the banking. Pretty neat stuff. You get a lot of speed out of these cars because they are lightweight, very lightweight. Like I say, it's 1,000 pounds with each driver in there. And they are 200 horsepower, so the power-to-weight ratio is very impressive.
150 miles an hour heading to the bus stop for Meyer. Here he comes up through the trial now.
Look at the body flex just from the downforce on it. That's just the wind bending that body.
He'll be about $150 as he comes over the start-finish line. 155, 157. You can see the telemetry lower left of your screen. Up as high as 159 miles an hour in that car. And these cars about 20 seconds a lap quicker around here than the Super Touring Light cars that we just saw a few moments ago. Back to Hayward on pit road.
Guys, one of the fastest classes in SCCA competition taking to the course right now. 1,000 cc, 1,000-pound race cars, wings, open wheels. Watch for these first 3 guys to try to make a breakaway. They all qualified within a second of each other. If they can get clear, it's going to be a great fight between those 3 drivers.
Open wheel cars, Dorsey, flat bottoms, the way these cars are built, so no ground effects as such, but aero very important.
Oh yeah, they got front wings, rear wings, so they've got plenty of downforce when they need it, but they will trim the cars here to run fast in the straightaway because, it's such a lot of the lap here at Daytona is wide open, and the banking gives you downforce as well. So they'll trim them. They'll actually run those wings as flat as they can.
As the field rolls off down the pit road to line up for our first pace lap, probably only pace lap for these cars. Tire heat and tire cleaning crucial in any form of racing, but for these cars, generally speaking, one pace lap and we go green.
See a lot of cars with stickers too, so they are in fact going to have to try to make some heat in those tires, by shuffling them back and forth and doing burnouts at the back end and brake. Our pole car almost lost it there as he's being very aggressive scrubbing.
Lineup looks like this. J.R. Osborne in the 83 from Inglewood, Colorado. On pole, the Geartronics Ralph Furman Racing F1000. Kevin Rogenbach from Woodinville, Virginia. Make that Woodinville, Washington. And the 12th car lines up alongside Pacific Northwest, one of the strongholds of Formula 1000 racing here. That's the Boston Whaler Ralph Furman Racing entry. Second row, Alex Meyer in the 77 from Parleyville, Pennsylvania. We just rode with him in our Garmin Verb Fast Lap. The Technoconnects JDR machine. And Jason Bell out of Tampa, Florida, Central Florida region competitor. The 2-car, that's the Gridsport Highway System Citation chassis machine. Gary Hickman from Alpine, California, starts 5th in the 76. The Edge Engineering Phoenix F1. Glenn Cooper in the 5 will line up 6th from Roswell, Georgia. The Hello Kitty Hoosier Race Tires Store F1000. Jeremy Hill starts 7th, the 00 from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. The Hoosier Tire Photon. 8th starter in the 93. You've got Joel Haas from Jupiter, Florida. The Parametric Solutions Piper. 9th starter, the 33, John Labrie from Draper, Utah. The Utah Region Bug and Weed Mart Phoenix F1. And starting in 10th position, Jose Gerardo from El Paso, Texas in the 14. The G-Labels LLC Gulmer F1000. Starting 11th, Shane Prieto from Lake Worth, Florida, the 44. Tyler Thielman in the 6 will start 12th. Rod Rice from Austin, Texas in the 7. Jason Slahor in the 9 car. He's from Ellicott City, Maryland, as the field moves up onto the banking to take the green next time by. Peter Frost starts 15th from Douglasville, Georgia. From Kellogg, the Kellogg Excavating Phoenix machine. 16th starter is Timothy Pierce from Leland, North Carolina in the 11. Michael Crow in the 68 starts 17th from Chattanooga, Tennessee. James Michael out of Fort Worth, Texas in the 37 goes 18th. William Faladek from Boynton Beach, Florida starts 19th in the 67. And George Levian from Aventura, Florida had trouble laying down the time. Finally did qualify toward the end of the 4-day period. He starts 20th in the 03 car. So there is the 5. That's the Glenn Cooper machine. He'll line up in 6th position. Look what he's done there, Dorse, laying that wing down.
Yeah, he's got
the bottom of the race car.
He got the wing at the very, very bottom, just taking a little wind from underneath the car to give it downforce to make it aerodynamically clean. Another thing you can do, a lot of these engines in these, well, most of them are motorcycle engines. They're all 1,000 cc's, but you have a choice to make. If you use a stock engine, they're pretty reliable, but they're probably 20 horsepower less than if you modify the engine. If you modify the engine, you can pick up the horsepower, you run more RPM, and then there's more damage done to the engine. So we'll see, as one of the guys is waved off up there.
Yeah, one of the cars dropping to the rear of the field. Looks like the 7 car deciding to drop to the back for the start. Rod Rice out of Austin, Texas, the Podium Capital Partners Store.
On stickers all the way around. He just decided for whatever reason, well, now he's on the apron. He might be coming in. He might have a mechanical on the outlap.
Yeah, and the word is that they had problems with that car earlier in the week as well. So it looks like the 7 car, Rice, scheduled to start 13th, will not be able to go as he drops out of the pack and drops below the double yellow line. As we've touched on earlier in this weekend, Dennis Dean, the chief steward for these SCCA national runoffs, telling everyone at the start, if you go below the double line and you're not forced down there due to contact, you will be penalized. So you don't want to go down there. That's out of bounds. But with a mechanical, you certainly want to get off the racetrack and get down below.
Absolutely, did a good job there. Our pace car about to duck in.
Getting set to go green. 14 laps of racing, 50 miles in Formula B, Formula 1000 as it's sometimes known. 1,000-pound race cars, 1 liter of power and plenty fast. And here we go, 3 and 4 wide, heading toward turn 1.
And a bunch of them left side tires under the double yellow line too. I don't know why they were doing that on the outlap, but we'll see what happens. Oh, loose.
Little contact coming out of turn number 1 there. All couple of
car
cars
in the grass,
going to
spin right in front.
Sideways. That could be trouble.
Oh, he was lucky it stopped there.
Local
That's the other
caution.
thing about these cars at 1,000 pounds. They don't go very far after you spin. It's like a go-kart. You stop on your own length. On fire, this car's got a fire at the back. I don't know that the driver knows it at this point in time.
A lot of dirt kicked up on the surface.
That might put it out, actually. It could just be grass burning off the header. that he backed it up in there and stuffed it with grass.
Osborne in the 83, your early leader, the 77.
Nope, he's on fire
there.
big time. He's got an oil line off. I don't know if he's aware that he's on fire. A lot of times you're not, and he's not.
12 car in some trouble. That's outside pole starter Kevin Rogenbuck from Woodinville, Washington.
Oh, it's big on fire now. He needs to get out of that car ASAP.
Rogenbuck coasting down off the racetrack now, stopping on the grass.
Come on, Fire Marshal. He's running towards it, but he's got a long way to go.
There's been some rain here, but the grass plenty dry. Meyer in the 77 moving up to second position now, the blue and silver car.
They'll go full course yellow for sure with that. They got to deal with that fire.
Leader is J.R. Osborne in the 83. Rogenbuck in trouble in the 12. So we watch Osborne through the bus stop up onto the banking here, working lap number 1 of 14. Still haven't gotten the indication, and now we do. Full course yellow is waved.
These cars nowadays, and there's a lot of talk with Indy cars and so forth of closing these cockpits in these open wheel cars. And of course, not to be hit in the face with debris and so forth like Justin Wilson, who just, a good buddy of mine that, just had this happen. But getting out of these cars isn't easy anymore.
Yeah.
There's a lot of restraining systems in and around your helmet with the Hans device and all the different things. You don't just pop out like you used to. And when you have a situation like we just saw where there's a big fire, getting out as quickly as you can is imperative.
Sure.
But it's not that easy.
And in a small car like an F1000 car, an FB car, you are in there because of the arrow that you want in the car. You're in there, you're really wedged in there kind of thing.
You are. You don't just get out and see the car on the other side of the racetrack. They've got the fire out now. You don't just pop out of there like you would like to. They've gone to a black all. Full course black is going to stop the race temporarily. You will not be able to work on the car. And
so the field will be brought to a stop over in the infield road course section. J.R. Osborne, Alex Meyer, Jason Bell, your top three. And the track is completely blocked as Rogenbuck's machine, your outside pole winner in qualifying. Stopping on the grass with that engine fire. Safety car right there. You can see the lights flashing. There's Rogenbuck with the helmet in his hand. Looks like he's okay.
Engine cowl burnt off the back.
Yeah.
I've had this happen to me too. I've had a big fire in a car up in Canada, and it's your number one concern is to try to find a fire marshal, get close as you can, but if it gets hot enough, your number one concern is all right.
You don't want to see him burn to the ground. And Dorsey, you work professionally in Pirelli World Challenge. A lot of people will remember the incident at Birmingham at Barber Motorsports Park earlier this year when Johnny O'Connell in one of the Cadillacs in Saturday qualifying got in trouble and bailed out, tried to put the fire out himself, but that car burned to the ground.
Yeah, I lost one the same way. One of Jack Roush's cars burned completely to the ground.
I bet Jack wasn't too pleased about that.
It was 1 day old. It was 1 day old. First time out for the debut of a 1991 Mustang. It was. It's not something you want to see. It's a bad deal.
Good to see that Kevin is okay. Car not so much. And one of the other things that comes into play, speaking of Johnny O's incident at Barber earlier this year, and some of the things, Dorsey, you've seen over the years, these cars that are not steel-bodied, they'll burn quite heavily.
Well, that's all carbon fiber stuff, and two things there. It does burn quite quickly and once it gets going, but the fumes are also very deadly.
Yeah. You'll melt things down in a hurry, and it's never a good situation. Fortunately, the safety workers, the fire crew there quickly from Daytona and from the SCCA helping Rogenbuck get out and get the fire doused, hopefully with minimal damage. They'll bring the rollback out to remove the 12 car over in the infield section here at Daytona. While we have the opportunity, we'll take our break here. We'll come right back with plenty more coverage of Formula B at these 2015 SCCA National Championship runoffs presented by Garmin Verb. More to come from Daytona.
The 2015 SCCA National Championship Runoffs presented by Garmin Verb is being brought to you by Mazda. Mazda, driving matters.
16 wide eyes. Driver's license, took 2 tries, bought a Roadster secondhand. Playing parties with the band, loaded up, off to state. Hijinks, tailgates, starter, midsize. Family cruising. Now in the garage, something new reminds you of when you were you.
It's time to face facts. You're a gearhead. You wish the freeway on-ramp was your personal racetrack. Well, buckle up, buddy, because the Sports Car Club of America wants you. With 40,000 members and events across the country, the SCCA has all the excitement you can handle. Dance the blacktop two-step with SCCA Solo. Get down and dirty with SCCA Rallycross. Or go wheel-to-wheel with SCCA Club Racing. Hit the track with the SCCA, where America's best drivers race.
Back with you at Daytona International Speedway. Coverage of Formula B, F1000 as it's formerly known. Red flag displayed after the black. Looks like we will go to a black flag condition here momentarily, and the field will roll back to pit road.
Yeah, right now they're red flagged. Everybody's stopped out on course, and if they've shut their engines off, that's going to be the next problem, is that some of those are not going to want to start. The reason for the red flag, of course, is outlap, first lap of the race.
Take a look here. This is the 12 of Kevin Rogenbuck from Washington State. Gets off into the grass.
Probably tears an oil line off right here. I saw it when we had the rear view of that car that we had a fire going, and that got going even better.
Rogenbuck knows by this time he's got the engine fire rolling and dives off the track into the grass when he can see the safety workers coming his way.
Oh, yeah, fully engulfed at that point in time.
Kevin able to get out safely, standing off to the side, but you know, I don't know that there's anything worse in racing. First, to have a fire in your race car, know you've got to get out or you're in danger. Second, to see something you put tons of time and a lot of money into.
And the damage that does is unbelievable, because it now, you know, that fire extinguisher retardant that they put on there sometimes is caustic to magnesium, which the gearbox is made out of. You know, it does. It's really, really. Like I said, I've been through a fire where we lost the car before. And it is hugely expensive. It's like starting over.
I was going to say, it can be a total loss. A lot of times. There's not a lot you can salvage sometimes. A car like this, I can't imagine what would still be good. Maybe the bare bones of the car would be good.
Depends on how hot it got, really. That one didn't burn long, so it might be okay.
Yeah, but just a tragic situation. Fortunately, not from the standpoint of personal safety, but race car heavily, heavily damaged in that fire. Hayward Wang.
Guys, I'm on pit road with the crew chief for the 8-3 car, your race leader at the moment, J.R. Osborne. He's talking to J.R. right now on the radio. Going to give him just 1 second. Handing things off. We had a situation with one of the cars, got us under black flag. What kind of a challenge does that create for you guys?
Well, when they stop them out on the track with the way these cars are, we have to keep turning the engines off, and they have such small batteries in them. The chances of it restarting again are, like, scary.
Now, you were telling me that you guys have had some dependability issues this week, gone through a couple of engines. Is there any, if you were able to get it started, is there any damage that can be done to the engine from it sitting cold in the middle of a race like this?
Not really, no. Our concern is we had a water pump go bad, so we blew an engine, then we lost an oil line and blew an engine, and then we had to rebuild the third engine out of the pieces in the first two. So we've been up 2 nights trying to piece together an engine, so we're not sure. The stuff we put in there was not good when it went in.
So you guys are just playing with Legos at this point?
Yeah, we're just keeping our fingers crossed and hoping it survives. It really is scary, especially when we've been the fastest thing here all weekend. Yeah.
Did your driver give any indication as to what happened to Kevin in turn 1?
He thinks he said it looks like a fuel fire.
Got it.
A fuel line broke or something like that.
All right, guys, we'll send it back upstairs to you.
All right, thank you very much, Hayward. Yeah, always a question mark with a hot race car. Are you going to be able to restart it when it's shut?
Well, and that was a good point he was talking about back there. But to be at 1,000 pounds or 800 pounds without the driver in it, the batteries are probably the same that you'd start a lawnmower. Not even a lawnmower, but like a little
a small cell battery. Yeah.
And they don't want to crank when they're hot either. They don't want to turn over. It looks like most of them got going. In any event, they will be brought down pit lane, and you can't work on the car. They'll let them regrid. They'll get them back in the order that they should be in, and we'll restart.
1 lap complete, 13 to go. 40-minute time limit could be in play here. The field will be lined up as they came across the stripe after 1 lap, and we've got 13 laps remaining. Time clock could be a part of this discussion as well here at this point. We'll see. We're still early in the going. And these cars are quick enough, well under 2 minutes a lap.
Yeah, they're fast.
You'd need about 26 minutes, about 25 minutes probably, to finish this race in terms of the time that it would take to run the remaining 13 laps. There's the 83 car of your pole sitter, early leader J.R. Osborne out of Colorado. There's the 77 of Alex Meyer, moves up to second spot and made that move earlier. So
it's kind of hard on these cars to do what they did, get shut off and restart. You got heat sink in the engines. Once you shut it off, the coolant doesn't go around anymore. It just stops where it's at, and everything gets really, really hot until you can restart it and get that pumping around. Now they're doing it for a second time.
Yeah.
So these are temperamental engines, especially the race-tuned ones. You're turning a lot of RPM. You're up there running 14,000, 15,000 RPM. And they make a lot of heat.
So we will reline up these cars, and I'm seeing some different information here. We've been told that the first lap will count, and we'll go with 13 laps remaining. Seeing some notes here that indicate it may be a complete restart, minus the 12 of Rogenbach. So we'll see how they're going to handle this.
Looks to be a shuffle of one car at least.
Hayward Wagner, what are you hearing on pit road?
You are absolutely correct. We are doing a full regrid. So we have the grid workers here lining the cars back up. We're going to restart from the original order. So it's going to be a few more minutes. Cars have now shut engines off again. So I'm not sure what this is going to affect on the timing of the race, but we're going to be here for a few minutes. As you can see, the grid workers rolling the cars back and forth so that we can get them in the correct order for the restart.
You saw Alex Meyer, 77, Dorsey, and I know we had a conversation with one of the crew members for that team earlier. That is a car that chassis-wise is a JDR. It's got the open tunnels on the outside.
Yeah, the air just passes cleanly through there. There is a radiator on one side and an oil cooler on the other side, but instead of having a side pod that holds, that's blocked off, it's actually where the wind can go right through. They're looking for top speed here, obviously, at Daytona, a place that the slipperier you can make a car, the better.
One of the things I've always loved about this level of competition in motorsports, the SCCA regional, national competition here at the Runoffs, plenty of room for individual innovation. The rules packages are quite tight. SCCA does a great job of managing the rules in each of these categories. Always a lot of discussion about how tight these cars will be inspected from a technical standpoint. But you have an opportunity to work within that rules package. It's not all bolt-on parts and pieces, and you have to run a mandated tire and a mandated this, that, and the other that you have in so many professional categories. Now you get to think about this as a garage engineer sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, a buddy of mine, Jerry Hodges, built that Technonics car. He has been around quite a long time. He ran himself in the original Can-Am series, built his own car back then even. He's done Formula V. He's done Formula Ford, pretty much out his son race for a while. Anyway, he can't keep his hand out of it. He wants to just keep on, so he built this car himself.
Very cool stuff. Like seeing different approaches to going fast, especially at a place like Daytona. Back downstairs to Hayward.
Guys, just to give a visual to exactly what you're talking about, if we look over here at the 7.6 and the 5 car, these are the same chassis, and look at the rear wing profile of the two cars. The 7.6 set up more for the infield, wants to get some downforce for those very flat corners where it's really reliant upon aero and mechanical grip to make the car get around those. The 5 car is punted on the infield altogether, put the rear wing actually below the profile of the rear tires to get the absolute minimum drag possible on the high bank. So here, two theoretically very similar cars taking two completely different approaches to this racetrack.
Very interesting, and kind of what we talked about earlier. We've seen some other open wheel categories that are in action this weekend, Dorsey, where some of the teams have taken the top element of a double element wing off.
Yeah,
just relying on that lower wing.
Daytona's the anomaly. You only run here one time, and so anything you can do to get your top speed better or your aerodynamic drag less, you do it. You change wings, you take it off, you try anything you can. Of course, these guys, first time they've run here since '69. So, but everybody knows nowadays when you come to a track like this what you need to do.
Sure.
You need to clean up everything aero-wise.
Looked at a lot of cars this week in the paddock that had taken pains with bodywork seams and things like that, especially in these formula categories. A lot of taped up fasteners and taped up body seams and that kind of thing.
It's a huge difference. I mean, you can pick up your top speed around this place something like 5-6 miles per hour just by doing the things you're talking about. Yeah, just cleaning up all the turbulent little areas that we normally don't look at that on a road racing course because you're not normally going in excess of 150 all the time.
Sure. And our capacity is covering this event for Honda Racing, HPD Trackside. If you'd like to see our reports this week from the paddock area on the website, HPD, it's on Honda's YouTube channel, which is HPD Trackside. In any case, we were talking to one of the Formula Atlantic competitors, Brian Novak, and he was concerned about the front wing configuration of that car. He was taking the winglets off that he would normally run, making that front wing completely clean.
Yeah, even down to a class like Sports Renault or Spec Racer Ford, which I ran, we spent a lot of time making that bodywork, seamless, making it as clean as possible, because those cars are hindered by their horsepower. They're spec cars. Everybody's got the same stuff, but some people go to the finite detail, some people don't. The guys that do, it pays dividends.
Absolutely the case. So we will get a complete restart here. We will reset timing and scoring with 0 laps complete. We'll go 14 laps or 40 minutes if we can. But time clock could be a factor here, no question about it, as the teams group up around these cars. Back to Hayward.
Guys, with Rod Rice. Rod, a lucky break for you after some bad luck on the grid. What happened to you on the first lap, on the pace lap?
Yeah, I went out there and the car was just stuck in first gear and, wouldn't shift. So, yeah, unbelievable luck. Came in, we got it fixed. Already went out there, tested it. We're ready to rock.
Well, a good break for you coming from the back of the field. Good luck moving forward.
All right, thank you.
Rod Rice in the 7 car. We saw him drop off the pace on the original pace lap. Out of Austin, Texas, Rod was scheduled to start 13th, but after dropping out, I would imagine, Dorsey, he'd have to drop to the back for the restart.
Yeah, I think they're going to let him go back from his original start position, because they're starting from fresh. They're going to go to lap
Wiping
0.
1 lap off. Yeah,
they're essentially saying nothing's happened. So by doing that, he gets double lucky. He's got his car fixed, and I think he starts just like he would have.
And that would move him up to 12th. Kevin Roggenbuck, the driver who had the engine fire that brought us the black and then the red flag conditions, was the outside pole qualifier out of Woodville, Washington.
And that'll be the only car out of the field.
Yeah, at this point. So we would be down to 19 cars for the restart. And it looks as though that would move Rice up 1 in the on the grid, so put him in 12th outside row number 6. And we saw such a scramble in the early going here. These cars so aero-dependent, a lot of drivers trying to take advantage. And you learn in racing pretty early on, Dorsey, especially the way things are today. Starts and restarts are your best chance to gain ground.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times that's the case. You want to make hay while you can when the first green flag of the day comes out. Let's get more from pit road. Back downstairs to Hayward Wagner.
Guys, I was just talking to some of the officials here on pit lane. They are back to the original race order, as though the start never happened. The unofficial word down here is that it's going to be a 23-minute clock when they start. These guys are doing race laps at under 2 minutes, so they will not likely be able to get all 14 laps in. That would take 28 minutes. We're expecting to see 23 on the clock.
All right, we will keep an eye on that for you. Thank you, Hayward, for the updates from pit lane. And thought about that, Dorsey, probably not the full distance here today.
It's going to be a lap or 2 short. They have plenty of fuel on board, and they've done 1 more lap now than what they would have had to do, but now that'll shorten some on the back end, so their fuel shouldn't be a concern. Everybody should just go back out there. Of course, one car is still affected, the car that caught fire. Unfortunately, his day will be done, unless they could fix that miraculously in time to make this restart, which is very, very unlikely.
Formula B action about to come your way. We did have a start, ran a lap, although part of it was under caution because of the Kevin Roggenbuck engine fire after he spun off the course. Looked like the car, when it went around backwards over the curbing in the infield section here at Daytona, probably knocked an oil line off and caused that fire to break out. It's a severe fire. Roggenbuck okay. Car not so much, and we'll have a complete restart probably for about 12 laps of racing coming your way. Drivers and teams have been given a 2-minute warning to restart and head back out behind the safety car. We'll have 1 lap behind the safety car, and then we should go green here at Daytona. A lot more racing to come your way after our lunch break, which is next. Spec Racer 4 Gen 3 will kick off the afternoon. Dorsey and I will be back with you for that. Greg Creamer, Jeff Lepper slide in for F Production and Touring 1, and then we'll be back to close the day with Formula V and GT Lights. Looking forward to that. There's your pole sitter, J.R. Osborne, getting a final word from his crew, and you get a look at that race car. Very sophisticated race cars these days.
Yeah, they are. Definitely they are. And I'm sure his crew was just telling him that when he gets to turn 2, which is where Roggenbuck had his spin, that there's a surface flag there, meaning that they've got a debris flag shown. Either there's some oil, water, dirt, whatever. It's going to be an advisory flag for first lap on turn 2.
So the teams will be aware of that. They'll run single file off pit lane and out around the circuit here.
We'll get a chance to see what it looks like down there in turn 2. I'm sure they've done the best they can do, cleaning up with the short time they've had to deal with it.
Nice to see blue skies prevailing here on Saturday. Oh, is that Rod Rice's car having trouble getting going again? We heard from Rice earlier. He said, yeah, he was fine. They'd fixed the gearbox, and he would be ready to roll, but we're back about 9 cars in the field. Rice would have been 12th in this restart lineup. But it is a red car, and everybody's got to go around him. So I think that might be Rod Rice's machine that's
might have spoken too soon.
Got an issue there. Wow. Hate that for him.
Yep.
All the way from Austin, Texas to compete here this weekend.
Here's it. I just saw it turn
That's
2.
the 14 car that's got a problem. Different competitor. That's Gerardo.
Well, these cars, like
El Paso, Texas, the G-Labels car.
A bit temperamental in their design, I should say.
They did get it going, yeah. Got it restarted, and he is okay. There's Meyer in the 77, cleaning the tires on that machine. He will line up second.
It's hard to build a car as light as it needs to be at 800 pounds and have it still be sturdy enough, to deal with all the things that it has to deal with. That was one of the problems with the prototype class. The P2 class originally was the cars just didn't finish because they were built so light that things broke continually.
Sure.
And these cars are even lighter than that. So their sprint race has just become sprintier.
Really? We're hearing from timing and scoring that the actual race time will be down to about 17 minutes because that 23-minute clock includes the startup time and the pace lap. So 17 minutes should be enough for about 9 laps of racing here at Daytona International Speedway. Taking a look back at this grid, Alex Meyer in the 77 will be outside the front row. Third starter. This is an interesting story. Keep your eye on the 2 of Jason Bell from Tampa, Florida. It's a black car with yellow trim. And looking to see if I can spot Jason's car out there. Jason, a competitor in the brand new Formula Lights SCCA Pro Racing category with the Honda motors and the Crawford Composites chassis. That series may well become Formula 3 fairly soon. And Jason Bell operating a 2-car team. His teammate has won a couple of those races in the inaugural season of Formula Lights.
Boy, this guy's been really aggressive on the tire scrub.
Yeah. There's Bell's 2-car with the white slash down the side.
You can get caught off doing that tire scrub up on the banking.
Yeah.
They're not used to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, these cars, Doris, they're fast enough. I would think maybe you don't need to run right down on the bottom all the way around.
These are fast cars. I mean, because their power to weight is so good and they're aerodynamically really clean. So they're going to do a good top speed. You know, we saw 150 mile per hour before, and we really weren't up to speed yet.
There's Bell in the 2-car, the Grid Sport machine. So you do have some drivers with pro experience in this field. It should be very, very competitive and entertaining. Osborne on the pole. Meyer moving to the outside pole. Jason Bell starts third. Gary Hickman will line up in 4th spot. Meyer, we're told his chassis was a national championship winner, that JDR car. When we ran
and a fast racetrack too. Yeah, Road America is another place with 3 really long straightaways, just similar to Daytona.
And the very long carousel in the backside.
Yeah,
where you're a pretty high speed corner.
I would think slipperiness here, in these cars will be their paramount configuration. Just how fast can you get it to go on this bank?
Safety car about to head for pit road. It'll be a single file start, it looks like. So it will be Osborne, Meyer, and Bell, then Hickman, the top 4, and we are underway with 17 minutes to go. Well, I didn't see a green flag.
I don't think we got one. I think they waved off. I really find that to be a surprise when we're already shortened on the distance.
Yeah.
Here is turn 2. They've done a good job cleaning it up.
So I'm not sure everybody understands that they did not get a start here. It looks like Osborne and Meyer have gotten it figured out.
I can't believe the starter did that, to be honest with you.
There's the surface flag. Yeah, a little hard to understand. Yellow continues.
That's all the kitty litter over the spot.
So
now we won't have 17 laps.
Yeah, that'll even when you've got about a 2-minute race pace, your safety car lap, the safety car is not back out there, which also is a question mark for me. I wonder if we will be able to restart without a safety car.
Yeah, by rules, what it needs to do is the pole sitter would assume the speed of the pace car, which should have been discussed, I'm sure was, in the driver briefing.
So we'll see how this works out. It was single file coming to the stripe, which was a surprise to me, because we were told the cars were going to be gridded back up as if this was a brand new race start, even though one lap was technically completed before the fire and Rogan Bucks incident on the backside of the road course, the infield road course here at Daytona. Osborne and Meyer.
I do our Pirelli restarts as single file too after we've got a start that has gone wrong. It just seems like you got less chance.
It's a little safer.
Yeah, I think tend to be to the safe side. But it does now leave the pole sitter with the option of when he wants to accelerate, which with the pace car in front of you, you don't have that option. So he could be creative here. He's going to have to watch himself so he doesn't draw a penalty from this.
I like the terminology. Drivers being creative.
Yeah.
As an ex-driver, there you go. You're
how much can I get away with here?
Creative rules interpretation, always a fun part of racing.
Mm-hmm.
Osborne and Meyer, your top two. Jason Bell restarting in third position in front of Gary Hickman in the white car in the 0. I'll make that up, sorry, the 76 of Hickman out of Phoenix.
And they're not very tidy, even though they're single file. They're not really, one car length between each row, which is what I like to see.
Yeah.
You see guys that'll hang back, like the fifth place car hanging back. He can get a significant run.
Yeah, that's Glenn Cooper back there restarting fifth in the 5 car.
Well, let's see how they handle
out
this.
Of Roswell, Georgia. So we continue under caution here.
Now they're tidying it up. I'm liking that better. Much better.
This safety lap, this pace lap, under yellow, will burn some more time off the 17 minutes.
Yeah, they're on the bottom, too. They're
trying to get a ruling from timing and scoring on how many race laps or how much time we'll actually be able to run here if we go green this time by. It's up in the hands of J.R. Osborne in the 83, the black car, your pole sitter.
Nice formation. I'm pretty impressed. They've done it well.
And the green waves this time by. So Osborne and Meyer take him over the stripe, 3 wide for 4th position. Top 3, though, Jason Bell settling in.
Nobody's got a rhythm yet. Oh, and
Osborne slips wide on the exit of turn 1.
Yeah, but he had a lot of speed to do it with.
Jason Bell under attack. 3rd place up for grabs. Bell gives it up for the moment. Another car, that's the 5th place car of Cooper, charging to the bottom there, trying to pick up some ground on Jason Bell.
Ran around the inside with his tires in the grass. I mean, that's on the inside.
All that side-by-side battling, allowing J.R. Osborne to build the lead early here. Meyer in 2nd spot. Oh, trouble for Jason Bell. He goes off big. Doesn't hit anything. Gets it stopped on the grass.
I think he
Grid Sport 2 car, yeah.
I think he probably just dropped his tires in the grass at turn-in.
Wow. So Jason Bell lined up 3rd for the 2nd start of the race. Comes a cropper here in the infield road course. Leaders back up on the banking for lap number 1.
Now we'll see that aero cleanness and how much it pays dividends. I mean, this is where it's going to really shine.
Timing and scoring showing we've completed a lap. So I'm guessing that lap where the green did not come out was counted as a race lap. We do know this race will be a time remaining, and we're told it's 11.5. Your scoring summary, top of the screen. Keep track of your favorite driver. We have a clock running to SCCA timing and scoring there. 11 minutes, 20 seconds of racing. It's about 6 more laps after we cross the line this time.
Now it's horsepower versus drag. The white car, really good run, comes up and around the top. Looks like it stalls out temporarily.
Meyer in the blue and white machine, the 77. He has been second. I believe that's Glenn Cooper challenging on the outside.
Meyer,
there.
Yep. Cooper's
Peter is Osborne in the 83. Gary Hickman in the 76, the white car there, challenging for second spot on Meyer. Hickman up alongside. Briefly, now dropping back into 3rd. 4th spot belongs to Cooper. And the black car with the orange trim, that's car number 5. Joel Haas back there in 5th in the 93. Tyler Thielman up to 6th in the 6 car. And then Rod Rice is 7th in the 7 car. Top 3 continue the same. You get a sense of the corner speed that these F1000 FB cars are capable of posting.
They should have really high corner speed because of the light weight of the car. Good aero. And they've got them trimmed here for this racetrack. Meyer's car reminds me of one of the early Indy car paint jobs.
Yeah, it kind of looks like the old Players paint scheme from years ago. The Forsythe team cars with that white and blue combination for a long time.
You can hear these motorcycle engines just screaming along.
Oh, yeah. Hickman in the 76. Races out of Alpine, California. alongside Meyer in the 77 for second.
He pops out and he stalls. You see what happened there?
Yeah.
He got a run going. He comes up to the back. He pops out, and as soon as he gets into the dirty air, it just stalls on him.
Is that because these cars don't have a lot of torque?
Yeah,
or because they don't have a big enough, they're not big enough, heavy enough?
Yeah, I think they're capped out on their power, you know, and when he adds the drag by popping out, that's all he's got.
If you've reached the top of the torque curve, you're not going to go anywhere.
That's the problem with these high revving engines too, is that they make horsepower up there, they don't make a lot of torque up there. And there he does it again. He pops around, see if he's got enough this time.
Hickman trying to use the slingshot on the outside, cover to the trial. Well, Meyer has him covered, holds on to second.
Now remember, Meyer's car is built to be very, very clean, aerodynamically clean, so it certainly looks like that's working to his advantage. Every time the white car pops out, it just falls back again.
One spot belongs to Glenn Cooper in the 5. It's the black machine with the orange and red trim back there.
Hickman's trying everything he can do.
Gary Hickman in the Suzuki-powered Phoenix chassis.
Look at his rear wheel covers on Hickman's car. He's got the whole wheel completely closed off. That's another aerodynamic trick that's been tried over the years. The rears are completely solid.
Yeah. Allowed under rule.
You don't need much brake cooling here.
Yeah.
You don't brake that hard, to be honest.
Meyer and Hickman running second and third. Glenn Cooper in fourth. Here's Joel Haas in fifth position with 93 car. Then you've got Tyler Thielman and Rod Rice. Rice coming back from that gearbox problem on the initial pace lap. Getting a chance to repair that car and take up his earlier grid position for the restart.
Yeah, Osborne is gone. He just checked out. Nobody's got anything for him. I mean, the real good race is second place with Mayer and Hickman and Cooper all.
Well, and as we've talked about several times already here this weekend in these SCCA runoffs, Dorsey, for Osborne, when the second and third place guys are side by side, that's the opportunity you want.
Yeah, he's running away with it. Yeah, these cars, I'm sure, really do hinder each other, too, when they're not clean.
7.5 minutes of racing remaining. 3 laps are complete. We should have enough time to get 7 or 8 laps of racing in before the checkered flag has to fall. There's the 93 car of Joe Haas. Your fifth place machine, that's a Piper chassis.
Mayer's car's pushed its way up into the 160 mile per hour bracket, 160.8. So they've added 10 mile per hour to what they started out at.
Yeah. Alex Meyer in second in that blue and white 77. Trying to chase down the race leader, J.R. Osborne, in his Ralph Furman car. There's Osborne in the 83, Meyer in the 77. Gary Hickman in the 76 running in third. Hickman with a little brake drag, rear brakes maybe not quite balanced properly.
Good save, though.
Yeah.
Didn't let it get him off the track.
I guess if you're going to have a brake bias issue, if it's not set quite right, you'd want too much rear brake.
Well, you got to watch on the rear brake, and it turns the car just like a handbrake will, you know. So you don't want it. You want a good balance. They don't have to brake too hard with these cars because they're so light. Yeah. Their brake zone's real short.
Remind you of a go-kart a little bit, driving a little bit?
Yeah, it would, I would think, you know, being that lightweight. So you got to shift this one. But now most of the carts that you drive
shift your carts, yeah. That's what I was thinking with that 1,000cc motor back there. Car off. That's the 10.
Continues on. Looks like he's been by himself at 10. Yeah.
Got a quick glimpse of the number there.
Gary Hickman's trying everything he can. He catches up with Alex Mayer, but once it gets to him, there's nothing left to go with.
Osborne continuing to lead. Meyer,
second
and third. This is for fourth spot. You've got Cooper under attack here.
Holds it for the time being.
Cooper in the 5, the black machine holding on. Right behind him is Tyler Thielman in the 6.
Thielman in the draft now. They're both working the bottom of the racetrack. Look at that. Got a big run and goes around the top. Oh, he's leaking something bad.
Tyler Thielman's got engine smoke trailing there.
I think it's fluid. I think that's fluid coming out the back of his car.
These 1-liter motorcycle engines are wound up tight. Side by side, seems as though he's okay. There is some overheating that comes into play with these motors at times.
That's the RPM they're running. Plus, if they're tucked up underneath the back of somebody, we'll take a look and see if that continues on.
Battle for fourth spot here. Cooper hanging on. Thielman right behind him in the light blue machine in fifth.
It was blowing a lot. You know, they'll tape these things off just like NASCAR tapes off. They'll block off the radiator inlets as much as they think they can get away with to reduce that drag.
Getting indication that the radiator may be blocked in the 6 car.
It's
Tyler Thielman out of Kiel, Wisconsin, running in 5th position there. I like the nose on that car. Painted like an old-time fighter plane.
Yeah,
the shark teeth on the side there.
He's got the P40 look to him. Now, those engines don't like running hot either because, they're really stressed running up there above 12,000 revs all the time. They need every bit of cooling they can get.
So Thielman was up alongside Cooper, challenging for 4th there for a moment, but couldn't close the deal.
It's hard to believe, though. Now, these are 1-liter engines, and I see how small they are by today's standards, but when I started racing edge production, we didn't even have that much. We had 800 cc's.
Second and third in play, coming for the 88 car.
He's got himself to a safe area. That was good thinking on his part.
Michael Crow from Chattanooga, Tennessee, the Central Florida region competitor.
Finds a hole in the wall.
The applied oxidation Van Diemen.
That's the right thing to do if you've got a mechanical issue. There's plenty of places here where you can pull off. It gets you back into the infield where you can drive back to the paddock or someone come and tow you back to the paddock versus being stranded out on the racetrack causing a full course yellow or whatever.
2 laps to go. With about 3.5 minutes of racing left, should have time to see the white flag next time by and then complete that final lap before we run out of time. Of course, if you start the last lap before the clock expires, you can complete that lap of racing, so we should have 2 to go.
Leader with a 2-second lead on second. Meyer right here we're looking at. Not as much of an attack. Oh, and he gets loose coming off of the horseshoe.
J.R. Osborne continuing to lead. He's led all the way. Alex Meyer sitting second comfortably. Got to be careful now. You can throw it away. Lay really wide entry.
He had a big slide. Gets a little slide right there, too. So.
Not a lot of tire on these cars. Of course, with a 1-liter motor, you wouldn't want one.
No, that would be more drag yet.
83 car. It's Joel Haas in the 93, I believe, who's moved up into 5th position in front of Thielman.
They are screamers. Good speed shot. Hear the sound of the engines.
J.R. Osborne in the 83 continuing to lead.
Last time through the bus stop.
Osborne has led all the way after starting on pole here at the Formula B event at these 2015 SCCA National Championship Runoffs presented by Garmin Verb.
Mayer and Hickman are equally distanced kind of from the leader to second to third, about the same.
Yep. Cooper and Haas, your top 5. Thielman in 6th right now. White flag in the air. This will end up being a time event for the first one we've had this weekend. Osborne just needs to keep it on the block. 1.5 minutes to go. Final time around. I bet these are fun race cars.
Well, they would be fun to drive for sure. I mean, this is like a D Sports Racer open wheel version thereof. And even those D Sports racers had a lot of trouble earlier on with, really getting after it through the old International Horseshoe. Somebody wide in turn 1.
That may be Ron Rice back there in 6th position. In this battle, that's the 7 of Rice. Is challenging now.
Good run
Moving up on Haas in the 93 car. Joel Haas currently 5th. This is a battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th. And Ron Rice trying to take a top 5 spot here after that gearbox problem early.
Good place to do it, right ahead of him right here. Braking for this right-hander, and he's going to try it.
Oh, Rice turns in too soon, gets into the grass, nails a cone. That'll end his bid to take 5th spot away. Wow.
That was unfortunately, and he packs the radiator full. One more time around, he should get back to pit lane.
Yep.
Did that himself, lost visibility. He was tucked up underneath the car.
He's going to pull off. I'll bet he saw his temperature just skyrocket there with the grass getting packed into that side pod.
And this is our 2nd place battle. That's first going through.
Alex Meyer in the 77, unchallenged at this point. 3rd belonging to Hickman in the white 76 car.
Hickman keeps trying. I mean, he's running really hard, but he just doesn't have the top speed to get to him.
Race leader all the way, J.R. Osborne. This will be lap number 8 and the checkered flag because of the early incident from the outside pole sitter Kevin Roggenbuck with his spin and then oil fire that caused a lengthy black and then red flag and a full restart. Time is the factor. The checkered flag waves. 8 laps on the board. And J.R. Osborne is your winner of Formula B here at these 2015 SCCA National Championship Runoffs, presented by Garmin-Verb. We congratulate Osborne. Nice and clean all the way.
I bet that felt like an awfully long race to these guys, with the stoppage and all that. It's hard to keep your concentration level.
Side by side for position, a little further back. Glenn Cooper ends up in 4th position. 5th is John Labrie in the 33 car. That was Labrie making an outside move. He picked up 2 spots. On the final lap, Labrie takes advantage of Rod Rice's issue and gets a top 5. Joel Haas has to settle for 6th. Rice gets credit for 7th. They are losing position there as we watch Meyer and Hickman. The checkered flag has waved, and I don't think these two know that happened.
I don't know what they're doing right there. Sliding around, just kind of showboating, I think, more than anything else.
I think it's possible that Hickman didn't see the checkered flag and Meyer did. So time has limited this one to 8 laps of competition. J.R. Osborne is your winner in the Ralph Furman Engines Formula B.
I think you're right. I don't believe he knows the checker's out, and he's going to be what we call a runner. If he does that, he's going to run this checkered flag. If he does that, he will be in trouble.
You don't want to make a mistake like that.
And it happens a lot.
And run afoul of the stewards here in the runoffs. Not a good idea.
Once he catches up to this man, he'll have a pretty good indicator that
you'd think. J.R. Osborne in the 83 leads wire to wire and wins the Formula B National Championship at the 2015 SCCA National Championship Runoffs. All right, we will take our lunch break coming up after we talk to our top 3. And we'll return with coverage of Spec Racer 4 Gen 3.
That will be a fun one for sure.
Tons of those cars.
To that. Lots of cars.
40 of them, I think, we've got on the grid.
That's going to be a drafting exercise from first to back. Everybody will be
bringing you
involved.
that. We will start there at 1 o'clock. Green flag, 1 o'clock Eastern time. We'll come back on the air for you a few minutes in advance of 1, but we'll have full coverage of that. And we'll close the day, Dorsey and I will, with Formula V and then GT Lights, which is a 4:40 Eastern start this afternoon. So plenty more to come from these 2015 SCCA National Championship Runoffs. J.R. Osborne coming around to come to pit lane. He'll pick up his gold medal and his checkered flag for the victory celebration here today at Daytona International Speedway. Beautiful day for racing. Temperatures not extreme at the moment. The sun's shining. May get pretty warm this afternoon.
Supposed to, yeah, 90.
But we're right now in the low 80s, and that's not a bad place to be here in late September. So.
And here they all come back.
Round of applause for Osborne, Meyer, and Hickman. Osborne on pit lane. Okay, Meyer and Hickman may be out there tussling a little bit because we've got.
I was wondering that too. Whether
Cooper,
or not
Labrie, and Haas are next to come to the line. So I don't know if they got together somewhere on the racetrack. And
either they didn't see the checker.
Well,
or they were,
I think that's Meyer's car there.
They're mad at one another. I don't know which it was yet.
So there's J.R. Osborne, the Geartronics 83 car, flag-to-flag winner. As he will pop the steering wheel, unhook the belts, unplug the radios and so forth, and get the helmet and Hans device off, talking to his team members. Obviously, Hoosier Tire, a big supporter of the 83 team here in Formula B. So J.R. Osborne with a strong flag-to-flag drive to take national title honors in this category. Gets the helmet sock off. He'll pull the earplugs, put the winner's hat on.
J.R. Osborne,
Hayward Wagner, go ahead.
J.R. Osborne, a great drive for you. A very eventful race for everybody behind you, but you look like you could just set sail and drive away from this field.
Well, you never know what you're coming with the setup here, because there's always sacrifice on the infield and then the banking. And we weren't very fast in a straight line, and our strategy was just to be the rabbit and get out in front and don't let them get a draft by me, so I didn't get caught in that melee. And then we have been working 18 hours a day. We changed out 2 engine this car, 2 engine that car, and I don't know what happened to poor Kevin. And I mean, my crew we have slept probably 15 hours in 2 weeks. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I was talking to your crew chief during the break. He basically said the engine at this point was chewing gum and popsicle sticks, putting everything together. A lot of dedication went into getting you even into this field, and then we had that restart. How hard was it for you to keep your focus as you sat and waited for your race to even get going?
It was probably one of the tougher things I've done in racing. I mean, you get all amped up and you know you got a good lead, and you and then you know you're good, and then when you come back and you have a chance to screw it up, it just plays tons of mind games. And but man, there's so many people. Am I allowed to tell the people here? Like Hoosier Tires, Bruce Voss, Adam Batten, they've had my back the whole year, for my whole career. Couldn't have done it without them. Ted Dale here, Nicholas Belling, Dan Burnett let me use his car last year. I mean, it's just a huge, huge effort, and it's club racing. We don't have millions of dollars, and the drivers are out there busting their ass trying to get this stuff put together and go out and compete. And just to finish and to have the competition and to have the, I mean, you don't know what it's like until you do this. You don't know what it's like.
Well, congratulations to you, sir. A fantastic drive, flag to flag. We've got Alex Mayer here. Alex is going to come in and give a congratulations to JR. Alex, how tired are you looking at the back of this guy's car?
Yeah, well, you know, it's just racing. It's awesome. You know, we love doing this. We come out here. You know, he drives 3,000 miles to come race with us. So it's, you know, it's all the fun.
As we got into the restart, it looked like you and the car running in third place. He could pull you, but once it became an even battle, both of you had air on the nose of the car. It looked like the lower profile of your car let you pull or stay even with them throughout the course.
Yeah, it was great. Great thanks to JDR and Jerry Hodges for building the great car and all the aerodynamics, and Greg Moon for building the great engine. Hoosier Tires for helping us out all year, making a great tire. I'd just like to thank Mayer Motorsports, my dad, my mom, Technotex up at home, Eileen and Roger Stempata for helping us out this year, and my family and friends. Thanks, guys.
Well, big congratulations to you on a second-place podium finish here at the Runoffs. We are looking for Gary Hickman. Gary Hickman, our third-place finisher, is getting his bronze medal right now in this beautiful white 7.6 car. Gary, if we can get a word with Gary real quick. Gary, it looked like you had the legs to run the Alex down when you were in his draft, but as soon as you popped out, boy, it was hard work, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was hitting the rev limiter big time, so could have used taller gearing.
Now, it looked like compared to some of the other cars that are running, you were really set up to be able to run in the infield, and that's where you seem to be able to make the most distance on him. Was that your strategy coming in?
Pretty much been the strategy since last week, since we started testing.
Well, congratulations to you on a third-place finish here at the Runoffs. We're going to send it back upstairs.
All right, we congratulate our top three, J.R. Osborne, Alex Meyer, and Gary Hickman, and I think we just found out what had happened on that last lap. I think Hickman didn't see the checkered flag.
Yeah, and running out of gear on top end, that's something we talked about earlier as well. You know, it happens here, particularly with the draft, and you know, once you're on that rev limiter, that's the end of it.
There you go. You're not going any further or faster at that point. So we'll take a look at the final results for you here at Daytona International Speedway. We've already talked to the top three. Cooper ends up fourth in front of Labrie. Cooper rallying there. Joel Haas, Labrie gaining a couple of spots on the last lap. We've seen a lot of last lap passing here this weekend.
And I think we'll see that all along. It's all the draft going on and, you know, this competitiveness of the runoffs.
Jeremy Hill in 8th spot on the 00, and the rest of your top 10. And it is indeed something we've noticed, drivers realizing the draft is so crucial. Maybe you wait till that last half a lap to make your move. Take another look here at some of the action in Formula B today. There's the early incident outside pole sitter Rogenbuck in the 12 car going around, coming off turn 1, knocked off an oil line and set off this engine fire.
Yeah, and that gave us a red flag situation where they got him out of the car. He was fine. Car, unfortunately, wasn't too good. We had to restart and made for a very exciting but shortened Formula 1000 Formula B race.
As the field came through on the restart, ended up running 8 laps of competition. Osborne, it was a single file restart. Alex Meyer tried him. Osborne slipped a little there in turn 1, but gathered it back up and drove uncontested to the checkered flag.
It's the way he had it planned. He said, run that infield and break the draft. Don't let anybody behind you. That's exactly what he did do.
J.R. Osborne, your champion in Formula B this weekend at these 2015 SCCA National Championship Runoffs presented by Garmin Verb here at Daytona International Speedway. Lunch break is next up for us, and we will come back, as we mentioned, at the top of the afternoon's coverage here. We'll have coverage for you of Spec Racer 4 Gen 3 to kick things off. We'll have Formula Ford this afternoon. We'll have Touring 1. We'll have Formula V action. Super Touring Light already on the board earlier today. Grand Touring Light will come up late this afternoon. Tomorrow, another full day to wrap up these 52nd SCCA runoffs. We'll kick it off for you at 9 a.m. Eastern Time with Touring 2 and 3 together. followed by Formula C, GT3, Spec Racer Ford. Formula Ford will kick off the afternoon tomorrow. E-Production, Formula E, and P1 will wrap things up tomorrow afternoon. All right, for Dorsey Schrader and Hayward Wagner, I'm Rick Benjamin, congratulating J.R. Osborne, your national champion in Formula B at these SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Plenty more to come from Daytona.
The 2015 SCCA National Championship Runoffs, presented by Garmin Verb, is being brought to you by Mazda. Mazda, driving matters.
16 wide eyes. Driver's license, took 2 tries, bought a Roadster secondhand. Playing parties with the band, loaded up, off to state. Hijinks, tailgates, starter, midsize. Family cruising. Now in the garage, something new reminds you of when you were you.
It's time to face facts. You're a gearhead. You wish the freeway on-ramp was your personal racetrack. Well, buckle up, buddy, because the Sports Car Club of America wants you. With 40,000 members and events across the country, the SCCA has all the excitement you can handle. Dance the blacktop two-step with SCCA Solo. Get down and dirty with SCCA Rallycross. Or go wheel-to-wheel with SCCA Club Racing. Hit the track with the SCCA, where America's best drivers race.